That is a zebra on the ice, Bill.
How did he get on the ice?
That's amazing.
They still can't get him off the ice. This is crazy.
Here comes all the zebras. It's a zoo out there.
You can't do that. Doesn't matter. Get in the box.
Welcome everyone to Chirping Zebras. Maybe we'll all embrace the zebra side.
Welcome, everyone, to Chirping Zebras, episode 87, the Sidney Crosby / Rob Gronkowski episode. Mark Riley, virtually alongside Gino Benda Jr. and Josh Dolan, coming to you from the interwebs. And we want to remind you before we get into anything to like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on the social medias. We're on pretty much everything, the Facebook, the Instagram, and, of course,
the TikTok.
Thank you, Gino. We also want to thank our sponsors, the Referees Crease, your one-stop shop for all your refereeing needs, payment, scheduling, training. They do it all. So definitely check them out. And also want to thank Damon Financial, LLC, our buddy Mike over there. For over 24 years, Damon Financial has helped families and business owners grow and protect their wealth with clear, trusted strategies from retirement planning to investments to tax-efficient solutions. They deliver no-nonsense advice focused on your goals. Call 508-321-2101 today to schedule your meeting with Damon Financial or visit them at damonfinancial.com. We also want to thank Townsend Hockey, our buddy Graham Townsend, and we'll hear more about the Townsend Hockey School a little more later on in the podcast. Gino, last episode, Jedi, main cabin masters. Quite a dude.
Yes, awesome guy. I can't wait to go up there and do a show.
Yeah, not only do a show, but sneak Josh across the border to Canada on a snowmobile.
Yeah.
There you go.
He's
Still gonna check, make sure I'm allowed, but I think we're in the clear.
We'll throw a hat and glasses on you. No one will know.
Exactly.
You'll be on the back of Jedi's snowmobile.
A weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, right?
In the tackle box.
But if you haven't checked out the last episode or Main Cabin Masters, it's a great show, and it can be found in different places. But really cool what they do, and again, some of the best goalie pads I've seen. So those things were spot on.
Those were pretty sharp.
Yeah. So, well, without further ado, we want to get right into it today. Very excited for our guest today. You might recognize him, NESN, the NHL Network, or Morning Brew, with himself and Razor. And we want to welcome Billy Jaffe to the show. Billy, welcome to the Zebras.
It is a pleasure to be here. Perhaps a tad intimidating coming on after I didn't realize that Main Cabin Masters was the last episode. I used to watch that show all the time. That's all I do. Like I don't watch really much TV during the season. A little bit when I can here or there, a bit. But when I do get a chance, especially in the off season, it's all Alaska fishing, Maine, that stuff. It's all like HGTV, Discovery, and cooking. That's it. That's all I watch. I don't watch any other shit. That's all I do. And it's amazing. There's either a lot of crappy cabins in Maine or there's none left because those guys are fixing up every single one. And I didn't realize that they're into hockey. So that's cool that they are.
He played hockey his whole life and coached some after he graduated high school. And
really?
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, what they do, is just incredible. I mean, they find these dilapidated places and they make them look like, unbelievable.
Yeah, he plays goalie for the he played against the alumni too. Yeah. When they go up to Maine and play, yeah.
I was just on the phone with my dad about an hour ago. So I got into fly fishing with my dad years and years and years ago. Are you guys old enough for River Runs Through It? Remember that movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Phenomenal movie. Josh is like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
He's like, what are you old men talking about? No, it's a great movie.
Was that on Nickelodeon? Because then I missed it.
Yeah. But anyway, so we got into fly fishing, been all over North America fishing stuff, but we're actually making plans to go up to northern Maine this summer with my son, who's starting to get into fly fishing as well. And so maybe I'll get the Jedi's contact, and then we'll see if he's got any cabins up there. But all good. Great to be on with you guys. Long way of saying hi. How are you?
No, that's awesome. I was out in Alaska this summer, and
What part?
I went to Anchorage, and went from Wasilla and Palmer all the way down and to Kenai, and then past there to the end of the peninsula there. But it was fishing season opened when I was there, and they do combat fishing.
That's different, right? That is very different. The combat fishing, that's meat fit, that's big, and people are on the shore and they've got the big rigs, and sometimes you're actually hooking instead of, you're snagging instead of whatever, and the fish fight like crazy. But yeah, we go fishing remotely. We go into places where you go into Anchorage, and then you get on an old DC-3. Actually, another hockey player, a good buddy of mine from growing up from Chicago, where I grew up, he owns now a couple of lodges there in the remote Alaska, and they're beautiful, off the charts. Brian Kraft is his name. And we've been to his Alaska Sportsman Lodge a few times. So what you do is you fly in to a town. It's a town, and it's really not. It's a village. It's actually an airstrip is what it is. And it grew from 23, I kid you not, from 23 people to 40-something people in about 10 years. We went one time, then went again. It's called Iliamna is the town. So you land there, you get off, they meet you in boats. They take you about 10, 15 minutes downstream, and the next thing you know, there's cabins and there's this and that, and then you fly in and out every day, and you're fishing with the grizzly bears, and you're watching. It's amazing. It really is. I'm very fortunate to have been able to do that. So Alaska's, you have to go there, right, Mark? You have to. You got it to see it. To believe it is to see it. I mean, it's just so different.
Oh, I was blown away, completely blown away. And I want to go back in the winter to experience it in the winter, because I'm sure it's different.
It's very dark.
Very dark. We played hockey up there a few times. It's crazy. Yeah, no, I played with a glorified beer league team. It was like a step. I actually think it's a step up from the Federal League now. I do. I think because it was called. You can appreciate it, Gino, being with USA Hockey. It used to be called USA Senior Elite. Okay, a fancy name for saying a bunch of old guys that still want to do stupid Czech hockey is what it was. And it was all former D1, D3, some junior guys, and we would play. And this was before the West Coast Hockey League or the Western Pro League was formed. We were the precursor, believe it or not, to that. Those teams. So you had teams in Anchorage and Fairbanks. You had, and they would fly us out there. They would take these guys, and we would fly out there. And sometimes the team spent 10 days. They'd play you'd go out on a Thursday, you'd come back the following Sunday, because you'd go from Anchorage and then the next week to Fairbanks. Or we would make 2 trips during the season, and they had a couple of thousand people per game. They had they took care of everything for us to head out there. It was amazing. But like Gino said, dark. You get there, you're talking dark at 4:00 and light at about 10 in the morning and dark by 4. But the best thing about those trips is that this is the first experience I ever had with smokeless bars. And, you spent all night up and everything. After the next day, you're like, I don't stink anymore. It was great. It was outstanding. There was a smokeless bar. It was like this nirvana. The next day.
You forget that I remember doing when I first started doing comedy, it was like a haze in the room that you had it was nasty. Now you can't even imagine that.
Now when you do experience it, like when you go to Foxwoods or something and you leave with a headache, you're like, oh my God,
right.
Why do they allow smoking
all
inside?
Of a sudden, secondhand smoke is like, all of a sudden you realize how strong it is because you were used to it before. But no, it's Anchorage, Fairbanks, both great. We once went to Fairbanks and it was 54 below. 54. We got in and we had a game the next night against the Gold Kings, they're called, and that was cold. And it took us like a full day to get there because things were frozen. I think literally frozen shut. But great place, a fun place to play hockey too. It was so much fun.
I mean, it really makes you appreciate the weather around here because, like places like Alaska or like in Montana, Riley, when we were out there, I was like, all the I know we were talking about it in the last episode with Pierre, but like the just like the signs being like, please don't patrol past here. Roads aren't kept up. It's like the outside can kill you. Like I was taught, like when we were at Kevin Miller's house, I was like, how do you like, what if you forget milk? He's like, you don't, you're on your own.
You go find a cow.
Yeah.
That's why you have them on the ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I worked out the USHL, you had a survival kit in your car because you can drive hours without seeing a gas station or anything, right? Like I had blankets and all sorts of stuff in there.
Iowa to Nebraska, Gino. Oh my God!
I lived in Omaha for a season. Yep.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
brutal. I lived in Des Moines with Chris Rooney back in the day.
You lived in Des Moines, huh?
Yeah, and
how long did it take you not to say Des Moines?
I said that just to piss them off, but
we talk lazy in Boston.
Yeah, my truck froze one time, like literally froze.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't start it, and I had to borrow Dave Hansen's car to go to Waterloo. It took like 3 days for it to frost. I'm going, this is absolutely insane. So
the real question is, Ralph, is whose toe caps were shinier, yours or Runes's? And whose shoes were shined more, yours or Runes as well? That's the real question.
I can answer that because I used to do all that for him.
Oh, really?
Youngest kid out of 11, he couldn't iron a shirt, for Christ's sake. I'd iron all his shirts, shine his shoes. I when he was sick, I went out and got him, like Gatorade and ginger ale. Oh, that kid couldn't take care of himself. Are you kidding me? I was like his surrogate father back then. So he owes a lot to me now.
There's
when he looks good in
baby
suits.
boy is a different term, right? Youngest
Yes.
11, baby boy.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh God,
So-
nobody's got shinier shoes walking into a game in the NHL than Chris Rooney now. God bless,
absolutely
love him,
not.
absolutely love
He
him.
looks sharp. And
does.
you know what? Why we're talking about it, for our money, we've said it all the time, and not because he's one of our best friends, but best ref in the league, bar down, with him and Wes McCauley, for our money, two top referees, bar none.
And they get it, right? They understand what's going on, which I think sounds maybe cliche, but it's true. You need to. Experience, though, gives them that key. I think, obviously. But you also have the confidence factor. You can tell. And, they've got the gumption, I think, when they make a mistake, you admit it. It's literally going to happen to everybody, players, coaches, and officials. But I agree with you. Two of the top refs in the game, no question. And both of them are wonderful to know and to get to deal with, and I respect both of them an awful lot.
Yeah, Rooney does not lack confidence. That's
No,
for sure.
no.
I love the kid, but
when my wife watches him work, she goes, "Oh, he looks bored out there." I go, "No, that's just confidence."
Poor guy's getting hurt. He's coming back. But he's working. He's Mr. Super Healer. He's coming back, and I'm thrilled for him because he's all kidding aside. I know we're having fun at his expense, and he's not here, so we can continue to make fun of him. But that's when you like somebody, right? Is when you do that.
100%.
But he's earned what he's got. He did it the right way with you, Riles. Gino, you understand the whole.
Yep.
I don't need to tell you guys. I only did it for 4
right.
years, the process, and he's ridden it. And to get injured, especially at this point in the career, what people don't realize is how often officials get hurt. They don't realize that. They don't realize how shitty of a life it can be at times, going on your own and being on a 10-day road trip. And yes, they get paid well now. And yes, they love it. But the physical wear down, you see a lot of these guys, and to their credit also, they do it till they're 55 years old. That, players only go to if they're lucky till 40, if they're lucky.
Yeah.
So the guys that can make it that long, pretty damn impressive with him and Sutherland, and obviously all those McCauley are doing this late in their so-called athletic life, being able to do it as long as they're doing it.
Absolutely. And like I used to, see Rooney down the BAC in Salty all the time working out, and like he'd be in there for hours, just like, it was unreal just watching him just train and off season on the bike every single day, didn't miss a day, 6 days a week, you know. We talked about that with Pierre McGuire in the last episode when he saw them all up in the bubble during COVID. And he goes, I was in the gym at 7, and every single referee was in there 7 working out and, you know, working on their craft. And it's very important what these guys put into it. So
People
a lot of
don't
people
realize how
that.
much they work and how their life is different, and how, 3 games in 4 nights means usually at least 2 plane rides. Maybe you can rent a car and make a 4-hour drive instead of a plane trip. And you're asking the guy at the next rink to sharpen your skates, or you're doing your own laundry sometimes, So it's not as glamorous as people think, and they do work their asses off.
And all these guys grinded through the minors too, all the good ones too, right? Not these like
That's
former,
changing now.
players. Not
Oh, it
these
changed
former,
big time.
not these former players, but like even like they've like I had road trips where you're going city to city and it's 6 hours from each location, and you're in the car and it's only one man system. And I remember like just going in and just getting rubbed down because of my legs for the lactic acid and all that kind of stuff, just to get loose so you can go skate the night. And because you do the game, you drive 3-4 hours, then you get in, you get in, sleep, you get up, and drive another 3-4 hours, take a nap, do the game, and you do it all over again for 3 nights straight.
Yeah,
So, it's a
so
grind.
I did 4 years of officiating in the CCHA and then in the North American League when I was much younger. And it was a grind. I didn't do 50 games, 60 games a year. I talked to somebody who was willing to, the old commissioner of the CCHA at the time. His name was Bill Began. And he actually was very gracious and said, would you be interested in if I made contact with the National League? I'm not saying it would happen, but would you be interested? And I was like 22 at the time. And I'm like, I don't know. I think linesmen were making not like nothing then. It's so different. Again, I don't need to tell you guys. But what I also found so challenging was you go from being a player to now doing it, and you feel the vulnerability factor was enormous. Like you're wide open, like you got pucks coming at you. You're trying to, Ray Scampanello jump out of the way to grab the glass if you're doing lines. I always found, linesmen were even more vulnerable because of how quick transition would happen.
Yes.
And you're stationary at the line and all that. But meanwhile, as a ref, you had more flow to it, and you could kind of avoid more of it. But that to me physically was tough. But that was really the hardest thing, is the how vulnerable you felt, because you're literally wide open and no player gives a shit. They're not thinking about you. They're just not thinking about that you're there. They feel bad if they hit you or hurt you, but they don't think about it before.
Oh, it's so true. I'd like to take credit for Rooney's working out as well, because I know when we lived in Iowa, I was the only one going to the gym, and I dragged him there. So I'll take credit for that too. And talk about the grind. I was talking about this to Chris Henry, one of your refs. I think I'm the only ref to do 2 pro games in one day. Down in Florida, I did Pensacola at 12 and Tallahassee at 7. And and I did Pensacola the Friday night before. So talk about a grind.
Did you get double per diem?
No.
Yeah, Andy took care of us. Van Hellemond was our boss.
Then that's good. Yes.
Andy took care of us. He was a little worried we'd stay out too late on Friday night, which we did, but
what? Play guilty.
We got it done.
Yeah, right.
Ref
We
guilty.
got it done.
The best in the old, when I fell into broadcasting, one of the things I did was in the old IHL. And then, you'd be on the old IHL was a fantastic league for fun. Fantastic. Because it was a gaggle of many old NHL guys who were pretty damn good, had made some money, but now they were with teams that, they were tweeners, right? And so everybody wanted to go out and everybody wanted to have fun time. And sure shit, the refs were there probably 80% of the time, because you usually play 2 games in the same city, right? And then and so everybody was out, and you saw the guys there, and it was just the way that it's so different then. And I know, boy, does that sound old. I hate that I sound like that, but it was so different. But I also think that led to more respect factor. I did. You humanized each other. You're out. players, refs, officials, etc., or broadcasters. You know what I mean? Like everybody was there, and
Absolutely.
that was the beauty of that. All for one, one for all at those levels.
Yeah, that's definitely, I think, lent definitely to that camaraderie or that respect that you need. You know, I know like in certain cities, you know, it was kind of tough to do in the bigger cities like Columbus. You know, it just spread out. But like in Charleston, South Carolina, we used to go to the same bar all the players would go to and hang out, and you know, we got to know each other, and you never had to worry. You know, you were always taken care of in certain cities. You knew, you know, you didn't have to worry about anything, and you never paid for anything.
Yeah.
You know,
And you're hockey guys. You're into it together, you know, and you understand each other. That was great. So those are fun times. Love the refs. Love them. Still do. I don't know as many of them. Used to know a lot of them in the NHL.
No
Knew 'em
nameplates now.
Pardon me?
No nameplates. Nobody knows anybody.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah. And it was just different. You know, you'd get there at the rink at certain times and you go visit guys down there.
Right,
and,
right.
you know, I get more of that in the playoffs now when I'm on the road because I do a lot of, you know, rink side or third man on the glass for the playoffs. And I'm downstairs, and so I get to see the guys, and that's where you really get to talk to them a lot, especially pregame and they're early stretching and whatever. Just talk to them and see what's going on. But the old timers I know well, and you know, it's great to catch up with them and great to hear their view of things too. That I will say that officiating has helped me as a broadcaster as much as as a hockey broadcaster, as much as anything. I mean, you play, and that's important, obviously. But being an official, albeit just for 4 years and never higher than Division I, it gives you a different feel, and I think it's helped me a ton understand certain things. I get accused of liking the refs perhaps too much at times too, though, but that's okay.
Like I always talk about Dave Starman like that. So when I worked the NCHC a lot, like he was always doing like the Friday night game or whatever, and then he, you know, normally stay for the Saturday, and then you take the plane home with them, and you're talking to him, and there was always, for whatever reason, like I was in North Dakota with him all the time. And there was always some controversy out of there, and you know, but it was great because like you go out after with him, go to dinner or whatever, like he hang with the group, and you know, you get his perspective of the call, and he goes, "Oh, you guys made the right choice," and blah blah blah, and I said this on it, or what should I have said, or and like he learned from that too, and it's great because like I think more broadcasters should get to know the referees.
Well, it'd be great if they get. I mean, like I say about parents in youth hockey. Every parent should ref youth hockey once, you know, and see how hard it is.
They're all experts. I see it all the time. Oh,
exactly. Exactly. So it's the same thing as a broadcaster, but you know, many years ago, I don't remember how many years ago now, I went to the NHL development camp in Buffalo, and the NHL Network did a feature, and I was there for the 2 or 3 days, and it was great to be back doing it. Yeah, it was hard. Like I don't want to say I remembered. I didn't remember everything. You know, it was hard, but it was a lot of fun, and it's important for me. And you hopefully, you know, it's not just about like the rules, although that's very important. It's also just about the feel, the understanding. Sometimes, you know, the one thing that I always the one thing that that still gets me, but I get it even though I really didn't work the 2-man system, was when there is a penalty right in front of one guy who doesn't call it, but then the guy 80 feet away ends up calling it. And then that's the only time I have to say to myself, different sight lines, because sometimes it just doesn't make sense that a guy 15, 20 feet away doesn't call it. He might have been looking at something else. That's what I keep telling myself.
Know what I say to people? Do the hand test, right? Put your hand close to your face, and then pull. Like you can't see the lines in your hand, you pull it out. Now you can see the lines. Sometimes when you're too close to something, you can't see everything, right? Especially those like hooks, trips, and holds. Let those, you know, we're told, hey, let your partner take those all day long, right? It's the hit from behind, or it's the cross check, it's that extension he might not see. He might not even see where he came from, right? If you're the back guy, you can see that distance traveled,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And where you're in tight, you just see the boom, and you're like, whoa, where did that guy come from? That looked like a clean hit, and your partner has his arm up, and you're like, oh, good, he saw that, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's
Good
that's
point,
when
yeah.
people say that.
That's why, again, I take a deep breath and I'm like, okay, different view. That's what I try and tell myself. 'Cause
Exactly. Yep.
optically, it doesn't seem to make sense, but No. Big supporter of the officials. Huge. Love
One
'em.
problem I think we see now is the way, like we talked about it. If you go through the system and you come up from the ranks, junior to minor pro to pro, you have that game count. What they're doing now, personally, I think is absolutely stupid. They're taking players out of the American League and they work 1 year in the American League and now they're in the NHL and they have
If
no
that.
clue what they're doing. And it's obvious when you watch it. You're going, they have no feel, they have no idea, they can't manage the game, and it's almost like they're still players and they're not officials yet. And it's frustrating. I know it's frustrating for the guys that have been there for a while.
I'm sure it is. And I remember when they went, it was actually right around the time that I went to this NHL officiating development camp, that they were really starting to do this. I think it was the second year, maybe the third year at most. And part of the thing was, I believe, and I hope I don't misspeak here, is the game getting so fast that you start needing guys. I think they felt physically that had that
Bingo.
ability right away to do it. That doesn't mean that other guys that didn't play in the NHL can't. I'm not saying that at all. But you know what I mean? Like, you get a different dynamic. And then I think, Riles, they're saying, I'm probably telling you what you already know, is they're saying we can work with this lack of feel and instead of having to work 5 years, let's say in the minors, I'm again making it up, we can get this player, this official up to speed in 3. And they've already got the size, and they've already got and now this is a guy who's been in the fight before, et cetera. I'm not saying one's better. It's something different. I do think that you see every few years when certain amount of guys retire or because of age or injury, that you get a young group in there and you're like, whoa, what's going on here? And the officiating is different. And then you need the older guys to settle things down. It's no different than a team. Every year, you need a group of captains or leaders. Then you need the next group that's going to be the next leaders in 5 years. And then you need a posse of 20 young guys that you hope 10 of them make it in 5 more years. It's really no different than a team. It's just the fact that it's a group of 4, per se, instead of a group of 20.
Right on the head. I'm a supervisor of officials for Atlantic Hockey America. So, like, I was just talking to Jason Lamoris yesterday about, a situation, a goaltender play, right? And I said to him, I go, listen, he's like, our guys screwed up a video review process, right? They just went in, looked at it quick and got out, right? They didn't do their due diligence. Take your time, look at all the angles, blah, blah, blah. And I said to him, like, he was just so frustrated. I go, listen, Jason, I go, it's no different than your players, right? I go, you got freshmen that come in here, you got sophomores that come in here. If they make a mistake, well, what happens to them? I go, listen, I put them on the back burner. They might not get games in the second half. Next year, you come back, boom, boom, boom. I go, but I need these guys to be, the 4 years, let them grow here. So now they're my senior captains. Now they're working playoffs. Now they're working semis. Now they're working finals. No different than when your freshman comes in and he's a senior leader. He's a senior captain, right? That's what I was trying to get to him. And he kind of took that. Like, we got to let these young kids come in and grow within the process. And, some are going to be great. Some are going to be okay. And some aren't going to fit. But you have to go through that process. And it's no different than in any league. NHL's doing it. Every single league is doing it.
Yeah. It is different, though, now, because they're giving guys different opportunities, but, that sometimes life isn't fair sometimes, right? Right. But sometimes these guys that did play 6 years, 4 years in college and then 6 years in the American League or the Coast. Okay, they haven't been officials, but they're willing to take the dive. They're willing to. And, that's just the right. By the way, it's no different than guys getting into broadcasting. They've never done it, but they get into broadcasting. And it's how it works, fair or unfair, to guys that are already in it. It's just it. It doesn't mean that they are better. It means oftentimes they're given different chances. And I get it. I do.
I like the premise. I'm all kind of for it, but in a different way. Like, I think the training and the foundation they need before they get to the National Hockey League needs to be a little better. But, they're fast tracking these guys because they need to, right? And now the process is there. Now you got a good group. You got a good, Now instead of hiring 5 to 6 guys, now they might be hiring 1 or 2, and now those 1 or 2 guys will be really, really good. Will be ready.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's kind of how they're doing it. But it's that way on every level.
Yeah.
y-
How about the strain that they did on every year they do this every team plays frenzy, they call it. And what I say to people all the time, what you don't realize is there's definitely some officials that are working these games that are really, I know that we had one in Boston. It was his first ever game last week, because you've no choice, because somebody's going to get hurt 5 days before. They can't do it. Next thing, as it is, you already need 30, or you need 16 sets of officials. So you're already stretched thin to begin with. And now you've got your guys who are on two-way contracts working. But look, for them, it's no different than the goalie that gets called up, who's the backup to the backup in the American League, so to speak. And like, oh, hey, kid, we need you. We need you to go be the backup at the NHL level. Go do it.
Yeah.
So you bring up broadcasting, and your style is, I think, fantastic. Your
Thank you.
passion with the way you're into the game. You're not that guy who sits there and says, "Yeah, that should have happened." This, and I think that's what sets you apart and makes you so watchable. And I'm not saying this because you're on the podcast. I wouldn't say it if I didn't think it. But that passion you bring, and like, you can tell you get pissed off when the, when
Yeah.
the Bruins do stupid shit, and it's so great because it's refreshing, because that's what we're thinking, as fans or as people who are watching.
Well, I appreciate that. When I fell into broadcasting, I was 29. Yeah, I think I was 29 years old. Never done it. And the gentleman by the name of Wayne Mesmer, if you remember that name or not, Wayne used to sing the national anthem at it was Chicago Stadium before it was before they moved to United Center, and that's when it became famous for the roar and the cheering and everything. And then he became part of the Chicago Wolves organization. Okay, in the old eye. The reason I bring him up is when I fell into broadcasting, and then in my first, I guess, second year full time, so to speak, he said to me, because he was a VP with the Wolves. Not only did he sing the national anthem, but he was a VP, and he said, what I really like is when it sounds like you're just sitting at a bar talking about hockey with your buddy. And by the way, my broadcast partner at the time was Judd Surratt, who was with the Chicago Wolves, who's now TV voice, radio and he was at Michigan when I was a player. He was student radio, so we got to know each other a bit there too. So Judd and I have known each other a long time ago, many hair follicles ago when we both had hair. But so Wayne, and it sounds so obvious, that statement that Wayne said, you know what I mean, in hindsight. But at the time, I'd never really was a neophyte in broadcasting. And I always said, when I fell into broadcasting, Mark and guys, it was very natural for me. My first time I did it, I sat down, I talked, and it was like, people said, "Were you nervous?" And I said, "No, not at all." Like, it was just natural for me. Did I ever think I'd be a broadcast? I had no idea I would ever. I'd never studied or anything. So I've tried to take that style of, I'm talking with people, not to them. And I know at times I talk too much. I don't mean to intentionally. It's just I do love it. But and I hope if I offend somebody, I'm sorry. I don't mean to. But the point is, talking with people. I genuinely love hockey. I do. Maybe too much at times. I do. I mean, I get a kick out of it, walking into an empty rink and going to skate with my regular Thursday morning group that is between 5 and 8 of us, and the sheet is clean, and I'm like, this is awesome. I'm going to lose some fat, hopefully, and I'm going to skate, and for an hour to an hour and a half, I don't have another problem in the world. It's the only thing that does that for me, right? And I still love I love it. It's a happy place, and I love talking hockey in New England. I love talking it anywhere, whether it's the new NHL Network or whatever. But I hope it comes through, because the other saying, if I'm not having fun doing what I'm doing, then shame on me. Like, that's the thing. And you got to be honest. You've got to be fair. And that's the last thing I'll say about this town. In particular, Boston. I've worked in New York. I've worked in Chicago. worked in Atlanta. I've worked in a lot of places, but the main places, New York, Chicago, and Boston now, okay? And I can tell you, and this is going to sound very homerish, and it's not meant to be. I'm telling you, Chicago's an unbelievable sports town. Unbelievable. Boston's better, okay? And if you don't, why is it better? It's because it's smaller. It feels big, but it's not. It's small, tiny town.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds different, literally and figuratively. The vibe is different. And there's just a passion. There's just like the educated fan is even more here. People in Chicago might not like me for saying this, but Chicago's close second. It's a phenomenal place too. But if you're not honest here, you're screwed. And you don't ever look to make it personal and never be mean about it. You just be honest about it. And I hope that comes through because that's all I'm trying to do.
Oh,
Well,
100.
that's nice to hear about Boston because when we had Sam Lafferty from the Blackhawks on, Riley, he said we were the worst. So
I think he meant from a standpoint of playing against
yeah,
Boston.
all I heard was worst.
Yeah, no, typical. No, I definitely think it comes across, and I think the beauty of NESN, and it might have been by accident or by design, but Brick, who is awesome, a former guest of the show, his commentary is great.
The best.
Barry. Who doesn't know more about hockey than Barry Peterson? I mean, he's just spot on. Razor is another one. Like,
Yeah.
and then Sophia.
Yep.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I still think she should go out with me, but that's a whole nother discussion. But seriously though, it's such a great. And I watch, when you watch ESPN and they have the local Winnipeg, broadcast on, or the Florida broadcast, or Tampa or whatever, and you get to see their NESN, and you watch it and you go, wow, we're spoiled here in Boston because these people are awful. And they'll have one guy.
Yeah, but let's remember
hockey,
this. Sorry to interrupt you.
No.
It's just there's a lot of great broadcasters in other regions. There are a lot of great broadcasters, and I don't think there's as many good productions in some of those other places. We could have a whole show on how game production has changed and everything. But that also impacts broadcasters, Mark, an awful lot. Now, there are some broadcasters that it's the old saying, it's like wine. Some people love this, some people like it. Everybody gets used to their own, because you know why? Because it makes you feel good watching them. You get happy when you're watching your local team, whether it's Seattle or Winnipeg, as you say, or whatever, so you get used to those people, and you don't like the extras. I happen to think you mentioned all the people I get to work with. They're awesome. I've become dear friends, especially with Barry and Razor. Working with Razor. Brick is one of the best game analysts out there. Sophia's fantastic and just the nicest, person. And so it's a great work environment. I think we do. I hope we come off as doing a real show, and I hope it comes off as real good. I'm sure there are people that also don't love parts of it, and that's fine. I mean, you're not going to please everybody when it's all said and done, but I hope that they see that we all like each other. We all work our asses off. We all want to give the best possible, broadcast that there is. And I do think that NESN's had they've had some things like quality of stuff that is different than other markets, extra cameras, extra this, extra that, and that's important. But the world of broadcast is changing. It is. It's changing more and more.
Yeah, the quality of the NESN broadcast is like through the roof, but also I've noticed the quality of the suits on NESN have upped their game, and I feel like you're the catalyst for that, Billy. I feel like you started wearing like
clothes.
these amazing suits, and then Razor started catching up. And then
I love my suits. I don't know much in this world besides I hope hockey. Hockey, food, and clothes are what I like. I try. But I mean, it's just an extension, and maybe sometimes I care too much about it. You know what I mean? Like I just like it. And by the way, like I'm actually trying to move away from ties. I'll still wear them, Josh, but I don't feel like it needs to be mandatory anymore. But that doesn't
Right.
mean you still can't be sharp looking and feel dressed up. I do believe in wearing a nice jacket or suit and whatever. Sometimes I want to wear a tie and other times I don't. Just the world has changed from it. And I think, especially if you're trying to attract younger people, I mean, this is probably pretty extreme, but I don't think you need to, I don't know, ties. Do they even know how to tie a tie? I guess my kid does. He has to wear it to school, but that's
Can
about
he make a double Windsor though?
I don't think he can. No, I taught him. I cheated. I just do a single and this, that,
Yeah.
and everything, and that. But I appreciate the comment. I do like nice clothes, and every year I like to add a couple of things and do that, and it's just an extension, right? What's the old saying? Look good, feel good, right? Play good,
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
ref good.
And one more about the broadcast. I noticed you mentioned everyone that you worked with, but recently you've had PJ Stock on. What's the deal with PJ? I meant to
he just
text
came
Razor
in.
about that.
I think he's going to come in for a few shows. Like, he's great former, obviously alum.
Absolutely.
Charismatic. I've actually worked with PJ in Canada before. So I did a lot of work nationally and for Sportsnet in Canada. So I would do both some of their regional stuff and some national stuff for them up there too. Over the years, I was very fortunate for a long time that they brought me up there. Basically 80 days a year during the season would go up to Toronto and do their stuff out of the studio there. And I got to work with PJ and some other great broadcasters up there. So he's coming in for, I don't know how many, Josh, I say just a handful of games, and it brings, a different voice, a different energy, a different perspective. And you got to get used to working with each other again type of thing. It's no different again than a different partner you're working with. There's certain guys you have that chemistry with, and there's others it takes a long time, and it's no different than a different teammate on the ice too. You learn their cadence, you learn their this, their that. And, but he's great. So very, very happy that he was in. I don't know when he's coming back in, but I know he's coming in, I think in I'm going to say a month, but again, I could be.
That's awesome.
I have to give a shout out to the best dressed hockey announcer on TV, which is Henrik Lundqvist. That guy.
Hank's got a sharp look.
Oh, man.
What about
It's
Sam?
very, it's see, he goes with the tie, bar, he always has that, and he's got a different type of collar and everything. I mean, I'm not saying anything. It's just, that's his look. And I know my hair's a little better than his, but he's got pretty damn good hair.
He's a good looking man.
He is. It's disgusting.
Yep.
It's disgusting. It just is. And to his credit, not only does he dress well, he's very good when especially when he talks goaltending. I really love listening to that. I love getting inside stuff from Razor on the goaltending. When Andrew Raycroft came on board, and it's just such a nice thing. Like, that you have a goalie there, and he's a normal goalie. And I think Hank's pretty normal, but I don't know. I only know him from broadcaster, right? Like, work, but he was always agreeable, and he was always very, very forthright and very cerebral in his answers. Razor's potentially the most normal goaltender I've ever met, though. I mean, he's chill,
Fair
man.
to say.
He is chill, and he's got great insight, and I love it. And
Yes, he does.
It's fun to hear that. But yeah, Hank is a good dresser. I give him credit. He is an excellent dresser.
He's up there. And we should, not all other regional broadcasters. I have to give a shout out, Dave Gosher, who was here for many years. He came on the podcast. Talk about him and Shane Knighty are fantastic together. And
They do
that
a great
production
job.
is pretty good.
Yeah, they've done a great job there, and I'm fully biased on Judd. I mean, that's a tough gig taking over for a guy who'd been there for 20 years, and Judd's awesome. His work ethic is second to none. And I agree, Ghosh and Nides do a real nice job out there. I think they did a lot of good things out in Vegas right away. And what they did, of course, they were good. That helps. There's no question that helps infinitely, being good off the bat. And they took advantage of new rules in the expansion draft. But that's just from the hockey side. But what I think they did is, the owner out there, so wealthy. And as he said all along, Bill Foley, he's like, this is fun. My other business is boring. It's title insurance. I'd like to be that boring and make as much money as he did. But he's like, this is fun. And so what they did is, and it's a lesson for the old days of expansion, teams would be like, no, we got to watch our money and we got to do this and we don't have the budget for that and that, whatever, and I was in Atlanta. So I remember. And then, by the way, all kidding aside, Atlanta was pretty good, even though the team stunk for a few years. Atlanta was pretty good in how they treated us. They were really, really good. So I don't want to be too flippant about that. But anyway, my point is, Vegas went, here you go. What do you need to make the best this, the best that, the best experience, the best TV, the best... Okay. And then what did that force? Well, it forces the next team coming in the league. Spend that money. Do the right thing. I think that really upped the bar. Winning helps, no question. It'll be very curious to see, not if, but when, how things go in these markets when things turn to, oh, we're just a 500 team now? Or wait, we're a 400 team one year? How will the fans react? I'm just curious to see. I want to see if they've earned enough goodwill over the years with all the good stuff that they've done.
Well, Vegas has showgirls at warm-up, so I think... they could go to 200 and, they could lose 80% of the games.
Have you gone to a game out there, guys? Have you done a game out there?
Yeah, I went last year and watched the Bruins there. It was unbelievable. The experience is incredible.
Yeah.
I worked a college tournament out there, but I never seen an NHL game.
Surprising, Gino, that they're UNLV, it doesn't feel like they're going to go D1.
No.
It doesn't feel that way. And I don't know the ins and outs completely why. I actually talked to somebody a few years ago about their program. They have a hell of a D1 club team. Hell of a club program. Just fantastic.
Like the club teams are awesome all over the country. That ACHA, it's unbelievable.
Yep.
It's really good.
It is. It's now you're seeing kids that say, you know what? Why would I go play, fourth line or fifth line, so to speak, be in and out at a D1, or, okay, I can go to a D3 school, but they're small, right? Nothing wrong with that. It's just they're small and they're in small towns. I can go to Georgia. I can go to Alabama. I can go to UNLV. I can go
Arizona,
even to, even a place like UMass too. Great hockey school. They've got a great club program. I can go there and play. And I got a buddy who's basically developing club hockey and maybe eventually D1 at, you ready for this? Oklahoma State.
Yes.
Oklahoma State. They're recruiting kids from New England to go out there. It's, it's crazy.
I definitely would have played club at University of Miami back in the day if they had it and not gone to Curry and actually played all day.
Yeah.
All time. And
we got to take care of paying a bill here. And I want to tell you a little bit about Townsend Hockey, our good friend Graham Townsend. At Townsend Hockey, they don't just build great hockey players. They build great people with discipline, respect, leadership on and off the ice. They train character, they grow confidence, and they inspire a lifelong love of the game. Because at Townsend Hockey, it's not just about the scoreboard, it's about who you become. They build teammates, leaders, young people with heart, grit, and integrity, because they know that the lessons learned on the ice, discipline, respect, resilience, are the same ones that shape a strong character for life. At Townsend Hockey, they don't just develop great hockey players, they develop great people. Townsend Hockey, join them and become more than just a player. Become your best self. Townsend Hockey, practice until you get it right. Practice until you can't get it wrong. And you can check them out at townsendhockey.com. And Graham does a great job up there. So please, if you're looking for a hockey school or a camp, you got to check them out. townsendhockey.com.
My son went there once. And
no kidding.
Thoroughly awesome. 2 years ago. And spent 10 days there. So was great. He went away. We had the house to ourselves.
But
But it was no, it was he he had a great time. Maybe it was only a week. Felt like 2 weeks though. But he had a great. All kidding aside, I'm not saying it because he had a great time. Graham was awesome to deal with, and so my son Jake really enjoyed it. In fact, wanted to go to another camp that Graham was doing, a little different one, a high-end camp last year. Just timing didn't work out and everything. So really good place.
That's cool to hear. Now the Bruins, obviously we should talk a little bit about them. They're in a rough spot as far as the rebuild. Where do what's your take on this team as far as the future, where they're at now? I mean, they, as of this taping, they're 500 right now.
Yeah.
Took them a little bit, but what's your take on that? And actually, who do you see? Well, we'll talk about the Bruins first, and then I want to get your insight on who you like for the long haul as far as raising the cup this year.
Well, from day one, said about the Bruins that this year, that the term I use, grind fest. It's what it's going to be with the lineup that they have, and grinding is a tough thing to have to do. 82 games, it just is. But that's how they're constructed. Marco Sturm has been incredibly, he's been wonderful, first of all, to deal with, and incredibly, honest about things and open. He talks about how we are not elite. We aren't. We have to do certain things if we're going to play. Or let's not BS anybody. So that's kind of what we've seen. I think you're going to see at times, Mark, you're going to see some violent mood swings. You're gonna. And like my high school girlfriend, unbelievable at times, and other times, whoa, didn't know what was going on. And I just think that's how it's going to be, because the margin for error it's so fine and so thin. And, with breakdowns, sometimes I think they're going to have some big ones. I just do. And there's going to be a time where the guys, and I know every team gets tired, but certain teams can get away with it because they've got 3 lines deep. They've got 4. They've got this. They got that. So the Bruins are trying to cultivate new culture, new system, and then a new style. Okay. So all those things take time. It does that mean it's going to work out in the end? I don't know. I don't even know this. We said all along, and I'll speak for myself, but many other people agreed. The high mark this year is if you made the playoffs in the 8th spot, that would be it. Now, is that the end all be all? I don't know, but I think that's the high mark. So that means that you're going to have to play a certain way, and it's just going to be hard all year, I think, to do that. With that said, can they take this year, rebuild enough, or remodel? Maybe that's the term. Remodel enough, maybe get some more assets at trade deadline or over the summer. And then one of the interesting things is I think not just them, but a couple of teams were looking at the free agent class to be and saying, it's supposed to be pretty good this year. We're going to maybe have a chance. And all of a sudden, holy shit, nobody's going to be there perhaps. So now
everyone's getting re-signed, right?
Yeah. So now you got to redo it yourself, or build up enough assets that you can make, let's say, 2 trades, whether it's the end of the year or over the summer, and then build your team up that way. But so far, I understand we have literally seen some major mood swings, 3-0, 1-6. And now, what is it? 4-1 in the last 5, if I remember. So they're 7-7, right? Heading into as we sit and record this. And it's been whoa at times, and it's been, hey, not bad at times. I think that, Mark, that's how the year's going to be. I just think that's how it's going to be.
Yeah, and I love Morgan Geekie. I think he needs, talk about a player that's really coming into his own, and has had a year. He's tied with Pasternak now for the most goals. I love the way that kid plays, and I think defensively, on the defense, that's where it kind of gets a little helter skelter. You got a guy like Zadorov who has 3 great shifts in a row, and then 3 shifts where he just gives away the puck and looks like he's playing with the other team, and that can frustrate not only his line mates, but fans like us.
Yeah, I actually
Thanks,
think
Adolf.
so far this year that Nikita has been their most consistent defenseman all year so
Interesting.
I
far.
agree with that.
Okay.
Okay. I think that he is a significantly different defenseman than he was last year, the first half of the season. It's remarkable that he ended up plus 20 something last year, given his start. And his start was really it was really a result of trying to do too much, trying to show I'm this instead of doing that. And the amount of stick infractions, well, the whole team in general, but especially a guy like him. And then there were way too many in the offense. Do you guys remember how many penalties he took in the ozone last year?
Oh yeah.
First
Brutal.
month of the season? Oh my God. It was whoa. But I think Nikita's gotten much better because, Mark, I think less is more for him. And I think he wanted to prove that the contract he signed, a mega deal for a guy like that, right? That he was, I'm going to be the guy. And truthfully, you know what? Again, it's real easy to sit saying on the fifth floor or behind the mic here, but hey, just do less because you're that big. He actually moves really well for a big man. And understand that play to your strengths, that your strengths are this, not that. And I feel like he's done that. Now, do they still have an issue on the back end? Absolutely. Absolutely. Overall, because we know Hampus is back right now. That's great. Congrats to he and his fiance on the birth of their daughter recently. But you've got your three top guys in Charlie and Hampus, right? And then Nikita. Okay. And then after that, you're hoping Pete can remain a solid number 2 right. What's Yoki Haru? What's Harris is hurt right now. Aspero, Low Rye. That's where the issue is, I think, for this team. And and learning a new structured system also has been an issue for this team.
Do you think Lorai could have benefited more from playing in the minors, maybe a full season than developing in the National Hockey League? Because I feel like his mistakes aren't getting any better. He's giving up, his plus minus isn't great. And just learning how to be a pro, learning how to, knock off the puck up, when to go, when not to go, that kind of stuff.
See, to me, it's mostly, Gino, about when to go, not to go. His jumping up into the play is actually pretty instinctively, I think, good. It's
right.
knowing when to be just not getting caught flat-footed, not letting the opponent be even or behind him, losing battles coming into the slot, the losing battles along the wall below the goal line, et cetera. Those are the
things like that.
Right. So do I think? Yes. I say that, and then I will contradict myself. And I will say the one thing is 2 years ago, when he came up in those playoffs against Toronto and Florida, he was very impactful. Now, that was whoa. We were all like, okay, can it grow from that? And that's when you have to remember that, the best players somehow, some way, 82 games, game in, game out, cliche, continue to do it somehow, some way because of who they are, how they play. And that's where Mason perhaps hasn't yet. I do think that more time in the American League, could have served him better. But he's not, unfortunately, of course he wanted to be up. Who wouldn't want to be up? And
right. It's no different than like our officials, right? Like they want to get there yesterday, but like when you get into a D1 game or you get into a National Hockey League game and you make big mistakes early on in your career, like it's tough to, backtrack. It's like you get labeled that, and then now you have that stigma. Now it's like, oh, he can have, every time he's on the ice, he's a liability. And then like, that's all he's thinking about before he's going into the game,
Potentially. Yeah. There's that. And, you want your player to be confident. You want the coach to be confident in the player, et cetera, all that stuff. It's a litany of things, but, he's working hard in practice. I think he's doing the right things, but right now, I don't, when I say I don't mind what the Bruins coaches are doing, it's they're saying, look, we're not saying we don't want you to be back in the lineup, but the guys that are in the lineup right now are doing the right thing. They've earned it. you keep doing what you're doing and you keep working with us. And we're going to hopefully get you to a level that when you come back in, that you don't come out.
Right. I
What
hope not.
I'd feel like I was doing a disservice if I didn't ask this question. What was your take on the Marchand trade?
I didn't bother me at all. And because when I say bother me, I was completely bummed. I love Brad Marchand. I do. Just a fantastic player. Love him as a person. But I kind of like, I got it. You know, if he wasn't going to re-sign, I get it, Mark. I understand that.
And if they, that's the harsh reality of the business of hockey. And he wanted to go to that location. Why wouldn't he?
For sure. It's funny. I don't know. Your voice just changed.
All
Okay,
of a
so
sudden, my voice
everybody
just-
hears that.
Hold on.
Yeah, no, you
Hold on.
you
I have
sound
no idea
like
why.
Sounds like witness protection.
it's perfect for that answer.
Plug the,
Yeah, it is.
the
It was perfect timing. Yo, yeah, that's perfect.
Wow, that was awesome.
But that voice was perfect for that description. I love it. Now, as far as the league itself, who's your favorites right now?
hard not to it's hard not to look at a team like Colorado. But Mark, I want to believe in them more, you know, like when it's all said and done come playoff time. I do think they have purpose, you know. I do think they're going to have to add to their blue line. I like them a lot. Vegas, I don't know how they're going to do it, but you know they're going to add somebody. Pietrangelo, missing him is enormous. I'm having a hard time. Like, I don't know. I know in the East, I know Jersey's good. I know Carolina's really good. They're missing 3 defensemen right now. That's just enormous. Is Freddie Anderson good enough, rhetorically asking, to take you to the promised land when it's all said and done? I don't know. Have you guys seen that? I haven't seen that yet.
No.
Not yet. No.
No. So I don't know if I really believe in them. Believe it or not, I don't know why. I got this funny feeling that Tampa might be there again.
Cool.
I just think that, you know, they got out to this slow start. Everybody was crapping on them. And they're like, you know, we're pretty good. We're still pretty good. And, you know, I it's so early right now. I would say those teams, Montreal's a fun story. I don't see them going to that promised land level. I mean, who would have thought Montreal, Detroit, and Ottawa would be up there for the Atlantic right now? But again, it's early. Who am I forgetting? Dallas. I'm going to be curious about Dallas. Very curious about Dallas.
What about the Oilers?
I don't see it.
No.
Not as how they're constructed, Gino. Not right now. I just don't know if I see that. You know, Stuart Skinner's a nice guy. I just don't see him being enough of a big time goaltender. And their defense, I don't see it. When it's all said and done, I've been thoroughly impressed with them getting to the final each of the last 2 years, but I don't know if I see it after that.
Yeah, the goaltending there is just not there. And good thing the Blue Jays won, so Toronto can finally have a championship because
Oy. Oy.
At least they got that going for them.
I knew Toronto was going to come up in this conversation at some point.
They had to.
Inches away.
Ruthless.
Who's your? We have fun with this question, but who's your Mount Rushmore of hockey?
Well, can it be personal and not in? I mean, to me, of course, it's
It's
you know,
you. It's all
obvious.
you. Whatever you think.
Yeah, I mean, well, my favorite player of all time, Peter McNabb. Maxie was my just favorite, and even though I grew up in Chicago, and I was a Blackhawk fan, but I was a Bruin fanatic. I grew up a huge Bruins fan because my maternal side is from Boston. My mom's from Boston, from Winthrop, and
Wow.
her mother, my nana, was a gigantic sports fan. And so it just became every Boston team, despite the fact that I lived in Chicago, became my ultimate team. Long story short, I wore number 8. It just was, it was. And so first was Kenny Hodge, but he got traded, et cetera. And then for me, it became Peter McNabb. And I absolutely loved him. So for me, he would be on my Mount. He's one of the greatest guys I met. You know, I would have him up there. Is he a Mount Rushmore of actual hockey players? No, he's pretty damn good though. He was pretty damn good. I would have, let's see, I mean, I love Joe Thornton, you know, his personality, his presence, his everything. And congrats to him going into the Hockey Hall of Fame. I mean, I've been very fortunate. I've gotten to know Wayne Gretzky a bit. I've gotten to know Mario, and it's awe-inspiring, right? Those guys, just to sit and talk with them and hang out, have a beverage with them, and it's cool. But those guys are spectacular. But I think the one guy, and then to me, Bobby Orr. Even though I didn't get to watch him play, although he did come to Chicago, and I think it was '76, right, for like those 10 games.
Yep.
Story with him is during the 2011 Stanley Cup run, NHL Network, which I do, you know, was working with then too, and I was covering the cup for them. They said, we want you to do a sit down with Bobby Orr, because obviously the Bruins were in it and stuff. So during that run, and I think it may have been, if I remember correctly, it actually may have been before Game 7 against Tampa. I don't remember which game it was. Regardless, at the Garden, sat down in a room. We did at least, I thought it was going to be 12 minutes. Like, that's all you got. That's all you got. We must have gone 25 minutes because Bobby was gentleman, such a mensch to go and just talk. And he was into it. And he's like that. Well, the only time after, I was like a little kid again. I was like a little kid. Like I leave the interview room, I get on the phone, I call my mother. I'm like, you won't believe who I just interviewed. You won't believe. And so to me, he'd be on the Mount Rushmore because of that, and the greatest, arguably, player of all time.
Love it. You know what? We talked with, Gino had a little something he wanted to bring up.
No, I just wanted to talk about the state of youth hockey, and you know, you're with the EHF, and you do your.
Well, I was.
You were.
Yeah, but yes, okay. Just to make that clear, so they don't feel like, hey, if they were still paying me, I'd say I was.
No, right. No, but like I don't know, for whatever reason this season, like we handle all the referees and everything, and like the cancellations has been bar none the worst this season that I've ever seen in my entire life.
I hear that. What's going on. I hear that, and it's disturbing.
Yes, at all levels.
I love youth hockey. It's getting harder and harder. Now, with that said, before I go off on youth hockey, I think all youth sports are like this.
Yes.
I could be wrong, but I just think that we are so close to it. To go back to put that hand, in front of your face. We are so close to that all we see is hockey. I get it.
Right.
Okay. With that said, because this is what we know, Gino, I've heard 4 times from different people involved about the amount of cancellations. So what's happening, in my estimation? This is pretty obvious. There's too many teams and not enough players. There are too many people saying, you've got to play for my team. I don't care if you play for the other team, but if we have a game, you have to play for my team, our team. Okay, so then parents say, well, little Gino, wants to play with his buddies here in town, but then he wants to play because he's he's okay. He's pretty good. He wants to play for this team because that's important for his development. And then, little kids get sick. It happens. And little kids have parties, right? they've got events. And so there's just not enough time. And I think that people get pulled in so many directions. And I think that after a while, they say, we can't do it all. And they start making these choices. And so we start seeing these cancellations. And lastly, and I do not have the numbers in front of me to back this up, and you probably have it more than I do. I wonder just how much numbers are declining in youth hockey due to the overall cost of it. I do. I wonder if that's taking a toll.
No, that was going to be another question. Like it's, I feel like youth hockey, it's not about the kids anymore. Everybody's kind of away from the town. It's all big business, and it's not about it's just like draining whatever we can drain from these crazy parents. Let's just shove it in. It's unreal.
Again, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, and just because every other sport's doing it too, doesn't make it right. Okay, I get that, but it's a real conundrum. Because we're in this, we're a capitalist society, and people and I get it, and things are expensive, and things take time and all that and money. But I don't know what the solution is. I don't, because there's people that have invested an awful lot in rinks and teams, and they need to fill those rinks and teams. And then I think there are too many guys out there too that are getting greedy. I do. Yep. I do. I think there's a couple that are just getting too greedy out there. And I wish it would change. I still love it. Part of me thinks now that my son's getting older, he's not out of it, but he's young adult now, right? I don't know. Would I ever go back? And, some of the most fun I ever had was the 10 to 14, 13-year-old years.
Right. I'm in
the development.
Yep. I'm in that right now. My daughter's 10. She's a goalie for the Terrier girls. And it's just, it's a lot of fun. It's exciting. But like the amount of pressure they put on these like young kids at this age, it's absolutely insane.
It is. And I bet you, if I'm going to be honest, I'll bet you at times I put too much on my kid.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. We just talked about that last night a little bit. I kind of apologized for saying certain things. Mm-hmm. But I said it's not meant it's not meant out of being mean. It's about like, we're talking about kind of his goals and this and that. And I said, well, if you want this, you got to do that. I said, don't take, and I know it's hard hearing from your dad, but I'm talking to you as a hockey person here. So anyways, I've probably put too much pressure at times on him, but I will tell you this, and we kept it in check. We had 6 or 7 unfreaking believably fun years in youth hockey, and I'm very grateful for that. It was an amazing experience. It really was, when it was all said and done.
Hey, Billy, sorry, Gino.
No,
just
go ahead.
Before we continue, we're getting a little bit of an echo. I think it's because you unplugged the headphones. Do you want to give the headphones another try? Just
sure, hold on.
Can,
Any better?
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
Any better?
Yep, that fixed it.
yeah.
Okay,
The echo
I don't know what's happening. It's so sorry. I'm probably creating new tracks for you and everything, but
No,
Oh,
you're good.
good.
You're good.
Oh, good. A lot of times,
Yeah.
all these weird things that I don't know about with production wise, they somehow
idea.
figure it out before we put it out. So
Yeah.
it'll work out.
Yeah.
I wonder what's your
paste.
take on Massachusetts in particular seems to be insane, and New England in general, but really Massachusetts. But because high school hockey now is nothing. I mean, outside of the preps, outside of maybe an elite 8 to 10 teams in high school, it's not what it used to be. But in Minnesota, high school hockey is everything. They fill out stadiums.
Right.
Why is it?
I don't know. I wonder, Mark, all the time. I don't know if we think for some reason we're going to be better than others because we're from New England than we are. I don't know. And it's frustrating. How do I'm not a fan of the, all right. It's not that I want to get myself, I'm not a huge fan of the half season hockey stuff. Okay. I think that is curtailing the development of our players. I do. And it's not just clubs, it's also high school. It's like it's oil and water, right?
They don't mix, right?
They don't.
Mhm.
So there's different stages of of young people development in all things. But if we're going to take hockey in general, my take is this. You're young, you can barely skate. What do you got to do? You got to learn to skate. Okay, then you got to learn to stick handle. Then you got to learn to, then you got to pass. Okay, now you got to start to learn to check at 12. So 13, you can do it. Okay, great. You get to 15, 15 years old. Your brain as a young hockey player, and we're talking about boys more than girls here because girls are actually, the numbers are up in the girls game, thankfully. Thank God.
It's huge.
And girls are smarter than boys. We all know that.
100%. Yeah.
But you get to 15, okay? And now this half season stuff, which I think is awful, becomes most teams are, let's just play games. If we get one practice a week, we're lucky. The goal is to get you ready for high school. And there's very little structure, minimal systems being taught, very little hockey sense, and not much accountability. And again, now you get kids playing for other teams. And this, I'm on a national team. I'm on a non-national. I'm this, I'm that, and da-da-da. So 15 years old is when I think the quote unquote more committed, higher level players, they might not be the best yet, but that they're there in need of the most development of real hockey than they ever had. It doesn't mean that they don't need to skate, shoot, pass, learn all, but they know how to do enough of that now that you're putting it all together and you're teaching them how to do it at high pace. And you're teaching them how to do it with kids that are much bigger and that are ready to crush you. And it's time to teach, like we taught systems to our 13-year-old kids, 12 and 13, not because we wanted to win. Don't get me wrong. Winning was fun. It was fun. Okay. But we taught it. So our goal was, I would tell my assistant coaches, we're doing this so when they're 15 and they're 16, they go to high school, they can say, I've done that. I've learned that. I remember I understand this and everything. Not to be robots. And I've seen so many games this year, Gino, and all you guys, that it's the most vanilla, not even, it's plain yogurt hockey of one kid skating the puck, 4 watching, people try and hit everybody, and this, no structure, no nothing. But now we're sending them to their high schools the end of November to December 1st, because that's where it really matters now. So now they get a little bit of structure and system for 2.5, 3 months, but they're all over the freaking place. And it doesn't work, in my opinion. I think we are hurting our children's hockey development at the most critical, when they can absorb and retain the most between 15 and 18 years old, this high level hockey stuff. And I think we've lost that with this. I just do.
I agree, because like the 15, 16-year-old levels is the worst levels to officiate, because they just run amok, just like you said. I talk to more parents that have like, older kids now that are playing and this and that, and like they're coming off with injuries. They're just playing reckless and melting off the referees and just getting kicked out, and then because there's no repercussions because it is a half season, and they're going to play for to play for their high school, right? The games don't matter. It's just, I'm just here, and half the kids don't even show up, right? You probably got 10 skaters, if that, and
so
you're out there.
How come it's okay to say about, like, academically for kids, these are the prime years to teach them how to focus, how to
Right.
challenge them, how to teach
So-
them things in high school.
I
The
love this
grades
take.
matter the most for college, right? Holy smokes, you go through that rigmarole. But yet we get to these same kids in high school for hockey, and it's go do something for 3 months. Go do whatever you want. Now the high schools are going to say it's the club team's fault, and the club teams say it's the high school's fault. And I'm all for kids playing more sports. I am, but I also understand when you get to be 15, if you want to concentrate on, let's say, 2 instead of 3, I'm okay with that. I am. Like, if you love hockey, go do it. And that's why the proliferation of these academies are happening. Do I agree with everything they do? Hell no. But I also I understand, again, being an open capitalist society, if that's what kids want, then you give them that. And by the way, I'm going to be curious in a decade if I'm still kicking around, and God willing, I am. I'm only 50, turn 56. If we're going to see more kids coming out of academies because they play full season, meaning, and over the few years, I don't know. It's
There's something to that.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, it's, and trust me though, it's also some of these academies, you see some of these teams and you're like, are you kidding me? Like, really? This is what we're doing? But, I don't know. I don't have a good answer. And as a parent who has somebody at that age now, it's a real,
Yeah.
it's a-
So like,
it-
my daughter's playing both. Like, she plays for the Terriers. She plays for the town of Weymouth, and she skates out for the town and plays goalie for, the Terriers. And it's just the way it's worked out. It's been great because she skates out during the morning, and then she has her goalie games in the afternoon, just the way the schedule's worked out. But, if the towns and the clubs can kind of maybe dedicate a day to the weekend, like Saturday, Sunday, because so now kids aren't running and playing 4 games in a day because, you want to play both and you want to play with your friends, but you also,
Okay,
the
but-
elite players want to go and do the club stuff, right? And
listen, that ain't going to happen.
no, it will
Okay.
never happen. No, it will never happen, but that's what you need. You need them to work together
Well,
because
you
don't
do.
have that.
You do, but
Right.
Gino, that's fewer
Yeah, it'll never
games.
happen.
And that's fewer games, and that's fewer games not just for the teams, for the organizations, but for the officials, it's not, when you get used to something, it's not gonna. Do I think that there should be fewer games? Sure, but then you got to justify charging certain amounts of money to people. And by the way, then let's say half of the team is the club team is not playing on town hockey. My kid never played town hockey. He only played with his club team. That was it. Because I didn't believe, personally, where we live, the club isn't great. I'm sorry. The
town was a great.
town
Yeah.
isn't good. And I said, wait a second. You're getting more than enough for 8, 9, 10-year-old 4 days a week. More than enough. Okay. So you're never going to get that. Because, and what, so if
No.
my son wasn't playing, but all of a sudden you're taking a game a week, now I'll fully admit I raise my hand and be like, wait a second. Why aren't we get to play those? I'm not trying to poo-poo your comment. I'm just saying ain't going to happen,
No, it
Yeah.
won't.
My 2 main issues are, one, with the specialization too young, and this is every sport. It's not just hockey, but every sport. These clubs want the kids playing softball year round, or hockey year round, or
lacrosse.
whatever it is, lacrosse year round. And like, there always have been sports where that's year round, like tennis or those specialty sports, I'll say, or those more individual sports. But you shouldn't have a 6-year-old playing 12 months a year playing any sport,
Couldn't agree
let
more.
alone hockey.
Couldn't agree more.
Right?
Yeah.
That's, I think, one big issue. And again, it all comes back to money. It all comes back to that capitalist society. It all comes back to, I can't charge you 15 grand if I'm only teaching your kid for 6 months, or I'm not putting them on the ice every night of the week. The other issue I have, and this speaks directly to what you said as far as teaching them, when they get to be 15, we don't, it seems to me that we don't teach hockey IQ. And especially with USA Hockey's ADM whatever they call it, development model. It's all about stick handling, shooting, dangling, all that stuff, which is all fine and good. But like when I coached my daughters, my team, we had a 4-check system. We had a breakout system. Now, granted, they were basic, right? But you had a neutral zone system, because if you don't teach kids young and you try to teach them at 12, 13, well, now they don't even know what the hell you're talking about. Like
No question.
what's the third level? What are the different things? It's that, I think, is the biggest thing that we have gotten
We've
away from.
overskilled and undereducated.
Yes.
That's what we've done. And the proliferation of skilled coaches are there. They make good livings. They're entitled to. I'm not going to tell you that I've sat here and not used a skill guy before, but not, now I'm using it, for my kid because he's at that age and he wants more and he's relishing it. Sadly, he's got his old man's hands, which are awful. Disgusting.
Hands like bluefish.
Blue. Oh my God. I go from a square, or from a round to a square puck when I'm done handling it. Thankfully, actually, his are a little better. Anyways, we overskill and we undereducate the game. It's just how it's. I don't know if you can actually teach hockey IQ. You can help show it via demonstration and video, but I do think that when you can fine tune it. Okay. I think when it's all said and done, that's for the most part what ends up separating the very good players from the good players is hockey sense and hockey IQ.
Yeah.
I do.
I think you can
think
develop
that's-
it. You can introduce it and develop it, like you said, through teaching them. And some
Right.
kids are going to get it. And some kids, are just that meathead who's going to be the fourth liner who goes out and tries to
Never
kill
get
somebody.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is
But
fine.
I'm with
and
you.
They serve their purpose. But I think if you don't introduce it and you don't give them a chance to learn it and develop it, well, then, what are we doing?
I agree.
It's a game of systems. It's not a game of just skill,
Right.
or just skating or just shooting. It's a game of systems, and all of those things come into it.
I
And
agree.
it's great. When you and Barry break down some of the stuff, it's all that hockey IQ. Like I always used to tell my players, watch as many NHL games as you can and listen when they break stuff down, because that's when you're going to learn. And it's something that I think is missing in the youth level.
It is. And I appreciate the guys that do film, and they sometimes people get chided for teaching, taking video for 10-year-olds. And I'm like, you know what? At first I wasn't going to do it. And then we started doing it. I think when they were 11, I said, you know what? It's really not the worst thing in the world for it. But again, we could riff forever about the kids and their attention spans. Now they don't watch games anymore. That's why, the TV business is dying because, because they watch it on their phones with regard to highlights on Twitter or TikTok or whatever it is, and that they highlight. They don't watch the game; they highlight the game. That's what they do. They go through it that way. So they don't. How many people are actually watching breakdowns of? I don't know. I mean, Brick is a phenomenal educator of the game. Bruins fans are incredibly lucky to have Brick and Beersy as their analysts. And then again, the three of us try to, we all bring something else. I love talking hockey with Barry because of what he's been through and because he's just such a phenomenal guy. And Razor, again, with especially the goalie acumen. And then I try and bring, I realized when it was all said and done, I was an okay player. I wasn't like, I made it to college hockey, but I wasn't an NHLer. And so then I had to say, okay, when I fell into broadcasting, just play to your strength. My strength is talking and talking about hockey. So maybe I couldn't do it at that level. I could skate with those guys over the summer, and I did all the time, all the pros and stuff. But to play like they did once the regular season came up, I couldn't do it. But I learned that I could talk about it. And the most important thing, and I think this is what, the analysts do so well, is how can you take it from what you want to say, but to get it and to make sure that you say it in a way that the most educated and then the least educated fan can both say, I understand and I appreciate that. I think that's
an art.
That's the key.
Yeah. And that is something that you and Barry and especially Brick, like who's better than him to
No, he's fantastic.
dumb it down. To dumb it down in a brilliant way so that guys like us watching it go, wow, I exactly see what you're saying. And someone who's clueless goes, wow, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely an art form that I don't know if people recognize that it's an art form, or, it's like me doing comedy. Everyone's like, oh, I could do comedy. Oh, I should get on stage.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's like,
different when you
all
get
right,
up there.
it's not just telling jokes. And there's an art form to it. Same with broadcasting.
Right.
What
What was that
Same with
movie?
podcast.
Good Morning Vietnam. Am I funny? You think I'm funny? Or something like that. I know funny. And now again, Josh is like, oh my God, what is he talking about? Good Morning Vietnam.
Why no? I know that one.
Okay.
Josh is a very educated 30-something. I will give
Okay.
him that.
Yes.
He's been some places.
Funny is hard. Funny is hard.
It's definitely an art form for sure.
Yes.
I know we could go on and on. We don't want to keep you any longer, Billy. This has been
awesome.
absolutely
Thank you.
You have great takes, and really appreciate you taking the time and hanging with the Zebras and talking hockey. I know we all love talking hockey, and it's funny, like, people come on, they're like, well, how long, and I was like, well, we try to shoot for an hour. That never happens. Not with hockey guys.
Right. I know. I know.
It's funny. But it's so great, and it's a lot of fun. So we appreciate it, man.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me. I hope the technical stuff didn't go off the rails too much. Josh is there to fix it, I hope.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's perfectly fine. And it's funny. I wasn't going to bring this up, but actually you did a podcast with me like about 6 or 7 years ago, Billy, when I was covering the Bruins for WEEI.
Mhm.
I had a podcast called Breaking the Ice, which I started with Razor actually.
Okay.
And I did an interview with you, and you were on with me for about an hour, and the whole thing got wiped out after. So
Shit.
I never got to post it. So
I never sounded better. Let's hope that. So one time we started a podcast, I think a few years ago in our infant stage, Razor and I, because again, we started Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor. I went to Razor during COVID, and I'm like, listen, this isn't reinventing the wheel here, but nobody has I don't say nobody, but we don't, let's do a podcast on the Bruins, because all the radio stations do this, and they talk Bruins, but they don't. Let's do it. Okay, you're in, sure. I mean, all we had was time. So there was one time that we're doing the pod, and we're 22 minutes into it, and it's good and everything. And I then looked at the screen, and I said, and Razor looked at me and said, "We're not recording, are we?" And I said, "No, we're not." That was when I was a self-producer. So I fired myself after that show. So I know the feeling of doing a show and not having to get out. So,
but this
That sucks.
episode has been
It
fully
sucks.
recorded, so it's
Yeah.
good.
Good.
That's why we have Josh, because Gino and I, we can ref a hockey game and talk shit, but God help us if we have to do technical stuff.
Oh
So-
no! We have a guy whose his name is RC Ryan is his name. Phenomenal guy, who's our producer. And if it wasn't for RC, I'm like, I don't know how you do it, but just do it. Whatever you need to get done, get
Yeah,
done.
right.
And every once in a while, I have to self-produce because he's busy or whatever. And I'm like, oh shit. So I end up doing it though, and I click things, and I get our sponsors up there, and I celebrate like I've actually worked and done something. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. Love the refs. So if refs are listening, love them. And by the way, we will call refs out too. We will,
Absolutely.
no problem. If need be, every once in a while it happens. But maybe Gino, one day your dad wants me to ref. My kid got his number, but he
Yeah,
hasn't
get
done
his-
anything
yeah.
with it yet. It's like you said, too
It's
hard
tough
with
to find the
time.
window, right? It's hard.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Maybe I'll do it again and get out there and then get in trouble. I'll yell at some coach. Instead of a coach yelling at me, I'll yell at a coach.
So like I jump on the bench every once in a while for the Terriers or whatever, and the coach goes, you and the other guy another guy that referees, he coaches with the other daughter, he goes, you two are the hardest on the referees I've ever been on the bench with. I was like, well, yeah, I mean, we expect, I get expectations here.
They better work well
Yeah,
for us.
right.
Yeah.
Call the lines, call
Yeah.
the obvious stuff, and you're out of there, right? Blow the whistle, and the goalie ties the puck up. It's
I almost lost a few friends when I was coaching it there and coaching my daughter's teams, and because I wasn't one to shy away from telling them that they sucked. And
Was Paul Stewart one of those? You guys?
hey, Stewie threw me out of my last high school game.
Appropriate, maybe, probably.
Well deserved.
The thing with the refs always was, I would call them over. I'd be like, I would never swear. I would never, but I'd be like, just help me out here. Just tell me what you're thinking so I understand. And I would try and be very, appropriate. And I always remind myself there's live burns. Don't say anything, right? And then I would be like, just help me out. And I need you to, I would say, listen, I'm just going to tell you this. I vehemently disagree with you on this call. Like I sounded like probably such a jackass, but that's what I would try to do. But I never got kicked out of a game. Never got kicked out of a game in my time. And none of my assistants did. At least I don't think so. No, I don't, because I wouldn't have been happy with that. But if they did, I'm just having some timers right now. Don't remember.
But
Great to catch up, guys.
We tell all the refs, you got to be approachable and you got to answer questions when they're warranted. And,
Don't have a bad
absolutely.
attitude, right? Like,
You know,
don't have a bad attitude. It's like,
there's plenty of refs out there that cause their own problems.
yes.
Oh my God. Oh, no, again, another show for another time. So
we could go on and on about that.
yeah.
Billy Jaffe, thank you for joining us. And we really appreciate it. And we'll continue to enjoy your commentary on NESN and the NHL Network. Definitely want to tune into Morning Brew with you and Razor every morning on NESN.
Thanks, guys.
So we want to thank you guys for watching episode 87, the Sidney Crosby Rob Gronkowski episode. Want to thank our sponsors, the Referees Crease, also Damon Financial LLC, and Townsend Hockey. We want to remind you to like and subscribe. Smash the like and subscribe button, as the kids say, on YouTube. Follow us on all the social medias, the Instagram, the Facebook, and, of course,
a TikTok.
Thank you, Gino. And also want to remind you it's hoodie season. And so you should go on chirpingzebras.com. We got our new online store up. We got all kinds of different merch and items, hats, sweatshirts, T-shirts. Order yourself something. I'll
tell you what, we'll have to cross promote. We'll get you a Morning Brew hat. We'll get some hoodies and stuff, and Razor and I are happy to sell and show the goods. We don't have, coincidentally have an old hoodie on. We don't do these anymore, but we got hats and coffee. Hence the name.
All right.
I like it.
Brew, B-R-U.
Well, you have to have the cups, right? If you don't have the coffee cups.
That's right. Those are out too, but we got, here we go. I mean, this is complete shit right here. There we go. We got the tumblers right here. Here you go. There you go. All right. I can write off this hour and a half. Business expense.
There you go.
I love it. Well, we will be sending you some gear for sure.
Love
And
it.
Razor's been supposedly coming on for, I don't know, about a year now. So we got to get on him to get on here.
He's sick of doing podcasts with me. So just tell him I'm not going to be on it.
The guy's working. He's working. The guy's he's kicking it. So we'll get him. I'll tell him. I actually got to talk to him soon. So I'll give him a hard time. Great to see you guys. I got to fly. Okay.
All right. Wait, don't hang up. We got to get hang on, Josh.
Yeah, we got to get the recording. So that'll do it for episode 87. Mark Riley for Gino Binder Jr., Josh Dolan, and our guest, Billy Jaffe. We'll see you next time right here on The Zebras.